We want you to know that it's an easy journey from sickness, we don't care what the sickness is, to wellness. From not enough money, we don't care how down and out you are, to more money than anyone that you know. In other words, there is a vibrational escrow of billions of dollars that is potentially there for you to play with. You've just got to get in sync with it. You just have to become a vibrational match to what you want instead of being a vibrational match to what you don't want, or in most cases, to what you've got. You've got to deactivate those vibrations about what you don't want. But we would be leading you on a little bit of a wild goose chase, because you can't deactivate a thought. Because when you look at the thought that you're trying to deactivate, you activate it. So the way that you stop activating a thought that you don't want is by activating a thought that you do want. But we think what's been going wrong with many of you is that you've been trying to make too big of a jump. When your vibration is over here and not feeling very good, and you reach for one that feels a whole lot better, law of attraction is not helping you out, because you can't reach that far. You can't set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and hear what's being broadcast on 98.7 FM. You've got to be somewhere in the vibrational vicinity. So as you make an effort to just fork a little more in the direction of what you're wanting, what you're going to begin to notice is you're going to every day close the gap between where you are and where you want to be on subject after subject. And since 99.9999% of every creation is complete vibrationally before you see the evidence, you're well along the way before you get the evidence, but there will be an improvement in your feeling of optimism and enthusiasm and passion. In other words, you're going to get so that you can feel that things are about to pop. That's what that feeling of anticipation is. That's what that feeling of positive expectation is. You can literally feel your proximity to the manifestation of things that you want. And we want you to have manifestation of all of these things that you want. You live in a world where things manifest. It is the leading edge place where things that you want do come into physical fruition. But even more than that, we want you to start enjoying the journey as you are closing this gap. And further, we want you to understand that you will always be closing the gap, because you will always be reaching to a new place, and then you will be closing the gap. In other words, you have the exposure to experience. You give birth to a new desire. Source says yes. You close the gap. You have contrasting experience. You give birth to a new desire. Source says yes. You close the gap. So what we're saying to you, friends, you and we will eternally live our lives forevermore in the crack. That's where life is lived. In other words, you've got to stop reaching for perfection. You've got to understand that it's always a journey. You're never ever going to get it done. You don't go on vacation. You don't say, I'm going to go here and here and here and here and here and here, and then I'm going to come back home and then look at it objectively. Wait a minute, my final destination is home. I'm already there. Why go? Because you don't go on a vacation to get it done. You go on a vacation for the thrill of going, for the fun along the way, for the new interest, for the new stimulation of thought, for the expansion of who you are. And so you're not trying to get anything done. We are eternal beings. So you said, I'll go into contrast. I'll go into this leading edge contrast, and I'll have my personal perspective, and the variety will cause me to want things beyond what I have, and Source will agree with it, and then all I've got to do is follow the summoning of Source, which always feels good. And we say, how simple is that? How simple is that, you see? And sometimes you say, well, Abraham, I can't tell which way I'm supposed to go. And we say, well, go the way that feels the best. And you say, I can't tell which way feels best because it all feels awful. We say, then don't take any action right now, but try to find thoughts that feel better. Because there is not one of you who cannot feel the difference between fear and anger. And there's not one of you who would rather be happy than sad. In other words, you have a handle on your emotions. We've been feeling you out. We've been sniffing you out. We know that your guidance system is alive and well. So never again say, I can't tell. Instead say, I can tell by the way I feel whether I'm moving in the direction of what I'm wanting or whether I'm moving in opposition. And it is our promise to you that you can quantify every journey that is important to you, and that there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. We want you to get happy, and we want you to get happy as quickly as you can, but we don't want you to be mad at yourself if you're not happy. We want you to be reaching for the best feeling thought you can find, but make peace with where you are. Because if you start beating up on yourself about where you are in relationship to anything, you're moving in opposition to what your source is calling. Good. Where do you want to begin? Begin right here.
Hi. Perhaps you already know that since the last time I spoke to you, incredible things have happened to me.
It's the way it's supposed to be.
What I wanted to talk about is freedom. It is the single most important thing to me. I know we talk about joy. This sense of freedom keeps coming up for me, that I can imagine it, and when I do imagine it, I feel like I'm totally connected.
Well, we haven't talked about this today, but we want to throw this in here, that on the end of the emotional scale that feels really, really good is your perception of freedom.
Yes.
And on the end of the scale that feels really, really bad is your perception of not freedom. So empowerment and disempowerment, the whole range of emotions, is about that. We think it's worth talking about.
Yes. And so what can I do to increase my desire for more freedom? Freedom, I would say, even specifically in my creative life, because professionally, I'm a wonderful artist and I can read my clients' minds and make them very happy. And now I have this great desire to channel my own very personal work, but I feel that I've traveled that paved path of least resistance of what other people are saying so much that I have trouble locating my own free voice. Does that make sense?
Well, we found you very articulate here. In other words, we do not find that you're having any trouble finding your voice, but we think it goes beyond words. It feels like there is an expression that you want to express, but you're worried about the world's response to the expression. The freedom that is being challenged here is not being challenged by the world, but by your perception of the world. You care too much what people think. That is almost without exception what is at the heart of someone not feeling free. Because while it's possible for you to really be in chains and bondage, it's possible that someone could have you locked up somewhere, or that they could have assigned you to school or something where you really feel that there is no freedom at all. School and jail are real in your reality, and they do have strong characteristics of trampling freedom. But the majority of people who have this undercurrent of not feeling free going on within them, what it is the sensation that I'm not letting myself go to that which I've become. You're using the word freedom, but what we feel in your vibration is that you can sense that your life has caused you to become more than you are letting yourself be. And your logic says, if I could, I would let myself be that. And since I haven't been letting myself be that, I must not be free to let myself be that. So when Esther's lunch doesn't come, we want to say to her, this is happening in the best way for you. When traffic feels like it's not flowing, it's happening in the best way for you. When your body feels like it isn't working, we want you to say it's happening in the best way. We want you to always, or to try to begin to assume that it is working, it is working, it is working. I just can't see where it's going, but it is working because it is always working. It is always working. The universe is always yielding to me in the best possible way that I will allow right now. So can you feel when you say it is working, you allow it even more. When you say it isn't working, you disallow it. So you've launched all kinds of rockets of desires. Source has lined up circumstances and events to accommodate it, and an attitude of it's working, it's working. See, there's evidence there. See, there's evidence there. I see evidence there. It's working. Can you see how that softens your resistance and allows what is working to work even better? And can you feel if you're forking the other way, it's not working. They're not taking care of me. They don't care about me. It's not. Can you feel how that causes you to offer a vibration that doesn't let it work, even though it's lined up to work? And can you feel, and this is the thing that we can really feel within you, this is right on point with what you were trying to describe with that loss of freedom. You have done enough living and enough dreaming and enough imagining and enough asking that you have a very strong current that is pulling through you. And when you don't let yourself go with that flow, there's a part of you that just cannot comprehend what's happening that's not letting you go with the flow, because the flow is so palpable to you. It's so real to you, you see. So that's why you're using words that are almost vague, like freedom, when really, friends, it is so much simpler than all of these words tend to make it sound. Here's what it is. Here I stand in my physical body as a powerful and perfect extension of source energy. I was perfect before I came into this physical body, not meaning I was finished, but I was in alignment with my energy. In other words, who I am or who I was when I was born and who I was as a physical baby, I was in alignment. And I was radiating a signal that represented the alignment that is me. So here I stand in this physical body with experiences that are causing me to focus. And I'm seeing things that I like to see, and I'm seeing things that I don't like to see. But in all that I'm seeing, I'm launching my own personal preferences that I uniquely, personally, powerfully, and perfectly are offering. No one else holds exactly the perspective that I hold. No one was born into my family at the time that I was. No one was born into mass consciousness at the timing that I was. In other words, I am unique unto the experience into which I was born. And my personal perspectives are of great importance to source energy. And so, as I have exposure and I give birth to a desire, the universe expands because of my relevance here and now. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And when I accept the wonderfulness of my exposure to life, I stay in alignment with the wonderful thing that I've become. But when I question my value, when I question my worthiness, when I question the timing of my birth or the rightness of my birth or the rightness of what I'm considering, when I question that, then I set up vibrational discord. And even though I have become this, I hold myself over here apart from that. And the entire range of human experience is about that crack that you are individually setting forth for yourself. The question here that we're asking is, are you now letting yourself be that which you have become? And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would use every trick that we could find. We would use every process that we could find to close that gap. We would look for endless ways that we could find to look for ways of soothing and supporting ourselves in the way that you would anyone that you love. When you see a little child teetering, learning to walk, not in balance, falling over, you don't say, "Get up, you little dummy." You say, "Good for you. I love seeing that. I love the progress that you are living in this life experience." And all we're asking is that you shine that same light of love and respect on yourself and that you give yourself more of a break. We want you to hear here today that every emotion that you feel is an indication of your vibrational proximity. And we would like you to make peace with whatever emotion is flooding through you in this moment. And we would like you to say, whatever the emotion is, this emotion is an indicator that I am being called by Source to who I really am. And if those out there don't like it, so be it. They don't know, because they're not privy to the details of my path in the way that Source is. And as you try to give yourselves a break and give yourself the benefit of the doubt more and more, and reach for more and more of those feelings that feel good, and do your very best, moment by moment, to fork in the direction of what feels just a little better. In such a short time, you will become such a self-advocate of vibrational alignment with who you are, that the world who is watching you will stand in amazement as they see remarkable things happening to you with what they will say is very little effort on your part. They will begin to say, it's like you don't work at all. It's like you just joyfully and blissfully bip along through life and good things come to you. And you can say back to them, oh, I do my work by scuffling through the contrast. I do my work by letting desires be born within me. And then I work to come into vibrational alignment with those desires that have been born. But then say to them, I'm not different from you. I'm just lucky and know it. things just happen good for me, and I know it. Somewhere back there a ways, I got on this kick of looking for the benefit that the universe was yielding to me. And the more I looked for it, the more I saw it. And the more I saw it, the more I looked for it. The more I looked for it, the more I found it. And the more I found it, the more I got it. The more I found it, the more I looked for it. And the more I looked for it, the more I offered a vibration about it, until everything goes so well for me, it is extraordinary.